Alrighty, good morning everyone. So my name is Kareem Williams. I'm the CEO and co-founder for Peepalytics AI, and we've built an AI to help solve the issues of retention. So let's take a second to talk about attrition. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and McKinsey, the desired unwanted attrition rate on an annual basis is around 5% or less. But what we're actually seeing is 4 to 5 times that number in reality. Why is there such a gap? Why is it that organizations are struggling with this? This isn't a new concept. It's been going on for a long time, and when we look at the numbers, we're seeing Fortune 1000 spending hundreds of millions of dollars on this. Some of the people that we're working with are spending north of $500 million on this problem. And that's just on the direct replacement costs. Think about the issues, the negatives when your top talent leaves and they take all of that institutional knowledge with them. When the team's morale goes down and all of your productivity comes to a screeching halt. There's a host of other issues, like when people don't choose to leave, when you've got toxic workplaces, or organizations that are rife with inclusivity issues, or layoffs where the wrong person was let go. So don't companies just have HR teams or operations teams to fix this? Well, it turns out that a lot of these organizations are highly reactive in the software that they're using, as well as the FTEs to support this. And they don't have the predictive analytics needed to get ahead of this problem. And so there's a lot of money being spent here. Your large enterprises are spending around $2 million every single year. Your smaller mid-market companies are spending around $300,000 a year. And when we think about this from a BI perspective, 80% of teams either don't have the technical capabilities or they don't have the FTEs they need to provide the predictive analytics to be proactive about this problem. So let's take a second to think about the employee life cycle. There's a lot of companies here that are making a lot of money every single year when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to onboarding, making sure that people get paid, ensuring that there's performance management, as well as learning and development opportunities. But what about retention? Why is there a gap here? All of these companies have made their investors a lot of money. So why is this market being underserved? What are companies actually doing to optimize their employee life cycles? Well, that's what we're doing with Peepalytics AI. We're providing predictive analytics to provide key insights and signals around sensitive, regulated, ambient data. So this is structured and unstructured data around how employees are working in the modern age. For structured data, you could think of your HRIS systems, your JIRA data. For unstructured data, think about calendars, emails, Teams, Slack. We're able to take those outputs and provide proactive attrition analysis so that you can get ahead of your problems without having to use expensive, time-consuming dashboards. So let's say, for example, a team wanted to ask the question, what was my adjusted headcount after we've had some regretted attrition? And what's the net spend on that? If you've got a good team, it's going to take you about 6 to 12 weeks to get a good answer. We take that time and we compress it down into seconds so that organizations could get the information they need to understand what happened, as well as the why, and most importantly, what do they do about it? So let's look at an example of our product in action. So here we have a platform engineering team that we've identified a top talent attrition risk. And so in this situation, not only are we able to identify the cause, we're also going to generate the solution right there and walk them through the supporting evidence. So these are all the classic signs of somebody that has an issue with their productivity. Maybe they're checked out, maybe they're interviewing, maybe they're coasting. Regardless, this is not the productivity that we want to see on one of our best performing employees. So we're able to identify these signals and benchmark them against historic data. And this is just one example based on productivity. Think about all the other issues that companies are struggling with when it comes to things around legal and compliance. So for example, pay gaps amongst gender, race, ethnicity, location within teams. What about issues with inclusivity or detecting toxicity in the workplace? How are you able to actively identify that and then provide a solution? Well, that's what we're doing with Peepalytics. So we'll get to traction momentarily, but I wanted to show you some of the outcomes that we're seeing with one of our customers. They're one of the top 3 telcos in North America, bigger than Verizon, and they're spending over $500 million on this problem every single year. And so for them, they're seeing Peepalytics as being able to save them about $1 million, and that's based on just a direct replacement of software that they're spending on today that doesn't generate nearly as much value as ours. The actual ROI is over $50 million, and that is based on their forecast of our software being able to reduce their attrition rate by just 10%. So we're optimistic of doing much more than just that. I do want to take a second just to talk about the team. So I've been working in this space for quite some time, building and leading people analytics teams at places like Pinterest and Amazon. My co-founder, Ben Donahue, I've known for over 18 years. He's a rock star in product and go-to-market, where he's done this not once, not twice, but many times, go from pre-revenue to over 8 figures in ARR. And we're not doing this by ourselves. We have a fantastic set of advisors. These are our ICPs. They're CHROs, they're SVPs in HR that are providing us fantastic guidance, as well as opening up their network to the actual market. And when you think about that market, you're actually seeing about 50,000 companies that are spending lots of money. On average, it's around $300,000 a year, and that number goes up to around $2 million for your larger enterprises. And they're spending their money either directly on software or outsourcing it to external contractors for things such as pay gap analysis. And so in total, this market is around $68 billion. So what have we actually done to prove that we're onto something here? Well, we haven't even been in market for the beginning of this year. And we haven't even, sorry, could you go to the next slide for me? Thanks. Yeah, so we haven't actually started a go-to-market effort yet. We've only been in existence since the beginning of this year, but we've been able to build a solid pipeline. And these companies are well-known brands that are representative of your 100-person to 1,000-person to 100,000-person organization. And so we've also been able to prove value by getting customers to actually pay for product. And so we've, in the past several weeks, been able to sign over $75,000 in ARR and have a healthy pipeline of over 200K in LOIs that we're looking to execute in the near future. So as we continue to build and sell in this space, we're really seeing that our bread and butter is going to be your several 100-person to around 1,000-person company. And so do want to thank you for your time here and would love to stay in touch as we kick off our fundraise in the next future.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. This is great. I'm curious if you could delve a little bit more into the last piece you mentioned, which is the what do people do about it? Can you talk about more about the game plan for the types of insights and how teams might utilize them?
Yeah, so what we provide are action plans, and so these action plans are step-by-step instructions or details around what you can do, and that doing part is based on the insights that we're providing that are based on the actual attrition findings. So for example, if this was something around somebody's identity, we can factor and identify what those explicit factors are, and then tailor an action plan specific to that organization, their leader. It takes into consideration a bunch of different factors, and it contextualizes it for that leader to do something about it.
My question is around large organizations. This seems like an amazing product, like what you've been able to do with it. I know one of the biggest problems we had at a big organizations that I work for is not necessarily like using cool products like this, but organizing all that data. Like how do you even go about onboarding this? Because large organizations are terrible at just organizing their data and having it available for you to even feed it into your solution.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's part of our product, right? Is we're able to combine and ingest a lot of these disparate data sources that, to be honest, don't really communicate well with one another. And so we take that information, we run them against our models, and then we provide these action plans so businesses can get ahead and be strategic.
Hi, can you talk a little bit about the ICP, because it varies within different organizations, and then who is approving the budget, and then can you talk about the sales cycle a little bit, and last but not least, a little bit about the revenue structure and the pricing strategy around that?
Sure, yeah. So to start off, it's really whoever's going to be in charge of your HR and doing the reporting to the board or the executive leadership. At your startups, that might be like head of people, right? Head of talent. At your larger companies, that might be a more established title like a CHRO. In terms of the sales cycle, we're very early. Like I said, we incorporated, I think like December 29th. So we've only been in existence since the beginning of this year. And so we're working with our early design partners to provide like actual structure here in terms of like our deal cycles. And then you had another question?
Thoughts on scale, revenue and growth, like how are you thinking about the pricing around that as well? And I know it's quite early, so
Sure.
If it's still TBD, that's fine.
Yeah. So it's largely TBD. The way that we're looking at this is your enterprises are really going to be around your six-figure deal size with the opportunity to expand to seven figures. Yeah.
How do you plan to balance delivering insights to employers with data privacy and employee surveillance? Because I can see how the perception of an AI kind of analyzing and surveilling you as an employee could lead to lower morale and attrition.
Yeah. So we've built everything with security and privacy in mind. So it's less of the specific information or like the contents of a direct message that you might send to a colleague and more about the metadata. Think about like your public channels or organization-wide emails. There's a variety of different interaction signals that everybody sees, but they don't necessarily catch on to those patterns. That's what we're analyzing.
Alrighty, it looks like that's it for questions. Let's give it up again for Kareem and Peepalytics.
Thank you.